Hello, welcome to the AM News Now. Coming up, first pre-election environment observation report on the upcoming 2015 District Assembly and Unit Committee elections by the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers indicates there is high public apathy towards the elections. And National Pensions Regulatory Authority says registered managers of the pension funds for private sector workers will from this month begin to receive funds from the temporary pension fund account at the Bank of Ghana. Let's settle now for the details of the stories. According to the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, registered managers of the pension funds for private sector workers will from this month begin to receive funds from the temporary pension fund account at the Bank of Ghana. The National Pensions Regulatory Authority says this is happening because it is satisfied with an audit carried out by PricewaterhouseCoopers, and over 2 billion Ghana cedis have been accrued since January 2010 from the second tier pension scheme, out of which 1.64 million Ghana cedis represent total contributions from both public and private sector employees plus returns on investment, while 542.72 million Ghana cedis represents funds being managed by the scheme operators. The final audit report from PricewaterhouseCoopers have been presented to the management of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, who have in turn made the appropriate recommendations to the Board of Directors of the authority. A timetable is currently being worked out for the transfers to commence. The pension contributions of public sector workers will meanwhile not be disbursed since auditing is still ongoing on the account. Public sector workers have for over a month now been agitating over the management of their pension funds. The case is currently being heard in the law court, and ruling on the matter is scheduled for December 16. Elsewhere, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, has released its first pre-election environment observation report on the upcoming 2015 District Assembly and Unit Committee elections, indicating that there is high public apathy towards the elections. It also said civil society and community-based organizations organized very few activities in support of the local government elections. The coalition's report dubbed enhancing citizen participation in the upcoming local government elections, deepening Ghana's decentralization process, was made available to the Ghana News Agency on Saturday. According to CODEO, the Electoral Commission has begun recruiting temporary staff, while the National Commission for Civic Education is on sensitization campaign. CODEO added that aspiring candidates for the elections have started campaigning for votes even before they officially become candidates. In October, CODEO deployed 86 long-term pre-election observers to 86 selected districts throughout the country to observe and report on the general electoral environment and activities of stakeholders ahead of the elections. The report, which captures observations made in October and November, is based on bi-weekly reports filed by the coalition's pre-election observers from all the 86 selected project districts. In the eastern region, taxi drivers operating in some parts of Koforidua have expressed worry about the spate of robbery attacks, especially by groups which they believe are operating under the influence of marijuana. They made specific reference to the stretch between Koforidua and Krobo Junction to Pipeline. The taxi drivers say they have yet to see action on reported illegal activities of these young men to the assemblyman for the electoral area, Salasi Amuzu, to help deal with the situation. Here's a report filed by Haruna Yusuf Wompuni.
The only road leading to Pipeline is in a deplorable state with no street lights. These young boys loiter about on the streets waiting for innocent prey to pounce on. They smoke substances believed to be Indian hemp. They spray pepper into the eyes of some taxi drivers and other people who walk on the road around 10 p.m. Some taxi drivers who spoke to Joy News say about 15 to 20 mobile phones have so far been snatched by these boys. The drivers cite the absence of street lights as the cause of all the criminal activities in the area. They are therefore calling on the new Joabin Municipal Police Commander as a matter of urgency to enforce the presence of the police patrol team in the area to curb this practice.
Mama boy dia aduma ke jato but ye kasa ye peni a odi yanim enti ara no on netuefo se ye nya bibia ma no on so bi di yanim enti afiri ye hu se ye bre enti se umbetie ye futupa mu a omwa no mbeboa ye bibiri because ye kwan na say ya cast o hwa ya cast na nyina on say me ka we be de ba ha 2012 but o hwa sa kan obetima hu se obekasa kan ya dada but ma bombo dia atima gina ha se be tuma na ahano na nkoswa ba na yatimanya development na mana yi amaye ente ye ho se siase ye wo problem eya ham robbery e koso awosa kwenwe so ye wo problem se wo ha omugigi ebi mu phones even omoya reaping awosa kwenwe so.
Meanwhile, the assemblyman for the Community D electoral area, Selassie Amuzu, has assured Joy News the situation will be rectified as soon as possible.
Association, as the drivers happen to be an area within my electoral area. I, through my efforts, including the former MC of New Joabin Municipality, Mr. Les Asamoah, Honorable. In fact, we wrote a letter to him and he gave us this space to operate. Honestly, concerning the bad nature of the road is something that is a bit worrying. However, the issue about urban roads and feeder roads was a problem within the area. However, this issue has been settled. But urban roads, they've taken inventory of the road network, and I believe very soon the road will be under construction. Concerning the issue of regrading, it was due to the rains, the frequent nature of the rains. During the rainy season, you can't be able to grade the entire area.
Haruna Yusuf Mumpini's report from the Eastern region.
As part of efforts to address Ghana's current energy deficit, President Mahama is currently in Qatar to secure a new power deal with the Qatari government. The three-day working visit would secure a public-private partnership deal for the establishment of an integrated aluminium refinery here in Ghana.
The president arrived in Doha ahead of a meeting with the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, to hold talks on strengthening Ghana's relations with Qatar, including specific investment proposals for boosting Ghana's energy sector. Government intends to raise about 5,000 megawatts of power by 2016 to meet the country's energy demands, hence the need to engage the Qatari government. The president would also meet Qatar's Minister of Energy and Industry, head of Qatar International Petroleum, the managing director of Qatar Iron and Steel Industry, before engaging the chief executive of the Qatar Investment Authority. President John Dramani Mahama was accompanied by the Minister of Water Resource Works and Housing, Minister Designate for Power, and the chief executive officers of GRIDCO, VRA and the GIPC.
A United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, in its 2014 report on least developed countries, says most of the world's poorest countries have failed to meet the Millennium Development Goals despite registering strong economic growth. The report indicates that the economic vicious cycles trapping the world's poorest countries must be reversed if the post-2015 development agenda to eradicate poverty by 2013 is to be met.
Africa alone has 34 least developed countries out of the 48 least developed countries in the world, with 16 of them in West Africa alone. The UNCTAD 2014 report establishes the Lao People's Democratic Republic as the only least developed country on track to achieving all 7 of the MDG targets. The report says least developed economies have failed to achieve structural changes despite having grown vigorously as a result of strong export prices and rising aid flows.
I think that one of the things that puts us in an enormously difficult position is the grip of international factors, the grip of foreign powers and interests on our fortunes. That really is what it is. Because if you look at the key difference, as the report discusses, between Asian least developed countries and African least developed countries, 2 things are obvious. One is that those are countries which have made more of a shift towards manufacturing, and these are countries which demand a lot more on domestic resources and regional economies than the global economy. So, for example, one of the points that the report makes is that the share of African ownership in the financial sector in Africa, banks and other financial institutions and financial market activity, is 30%, compared to the share of in the Asian LDC countries like Bangladesh and so on that the report discusses, where domestic ownership of the financial sector is between 70 and 80%.
Although Ghana is not counted amongst least developed countries, the report suggests growth does not change the economy structurally for development.
And it's not a good story. I don't think we have pursued a useful growth path, whether as a country or internationally. Otherwise, we will not be talking about a post-MDG international development agenda, which prioritizes things that the MDG completely ignored, missed out on, deprioritized, marginalized, and so on and so forth. We're in a different, these are realities for us. We have a situation where we don't have a dynamic, self-sustaining development path. So whatever we have done, you can have become middle income 50 times over if you want. If you do not have a sustainable development path, you haven't done anything. And that's why you're still sitting in a country where you cannot even meet your minimum sanitation needs. And cholera and hundreds of people are dying like flies. This is a scandal or an emergency at any level. And it is being treated like an everyday thing. When the public and everybody becomes inured to death on such scale, it tells you are not going forward, you are going backwards.
The NDPC, meanwhile, says Ghana is on track to achieving growth with sustainable development.
We want to sustain that transformation agenda that we have put ahead of us. Over the period, we've been exporting just commodities. Can we process? And if we need to process, what do we need to do? Government business is not to be in business. So the challenge for us is to provide an enabling environment that will help private sector to grow. Infrastructure deficit is a challenge, it's a huge challenge, and that is one key area that we need to resolve. With energy crisis and all that around us, it will be a big challenge for us to sustain it, and we need to fix that aspect of the economy.
The LCD report 2014, meanwhile, insists the performance of the least developed countries will largely determine the success or failure of the whole post-2015 development agenda to eradicate poverty by 2030. Abigail Adamakunchi for Joy News.
The Catholic University College Ghana at Fiapre in the Bonohaf region is collaborating with Jacob Christian Adam Foundation from Germany to build and enhance the capacity of its teaching staff. Under the collaborative effort, 10 academic staff from the university will be offered scholarships to study a postgraduate program of their choice in Ghana. Here's our Bonohaf regional correspondent, Nesta Kafui Ajuma.
Jacob Christian Adam Foundation is a Catholic family in Germany dedicated to the academic progress of individuals within the Catholic Church. The foundation, through the medical mission and the Catholic Academic Exchange Service, has over the years sponsored Catholic students to attain higher education at KNUST. Catholic University College Ghana, committed to building the capacity of its academic staff, decided to team up with the Jacob Christian Adam Foundation to enhance the academic capacity of the lecturers and to commensurate the growing need of students. The foundation, through the medical mission and the Catholic Academic Exchange Service, has made 100,000 euros available to be disbursed among the 10 prospective students to study a master's degree program at the KNUST. Launching the scholarship at CUCG The Vice-Chancellor, Professor James Hawking Ephraim, stated that the university is committed to achieving excellence, hence the need to enhance the capacity of its academic staff. He said the scholarship by the foundation has come at an opportune time and advised those who will be selected to benefit from the bursary to make the investment count.
It offers us an opportunity to train human capital that is so much required in the development of our university. You know, we pride ourselves to be a university for the future. So we're preparing ourselves for the future by training qualified people who will handle the business of disseminating an education that has a Catholic character to individuals who pass through our doors. So it gives our staff the requisite knowledge so they can execute the business of exuding an education of a Catholic character.
A representative of Jacob Christian Adam Foundation from Germany, Dr. Marco Cohen, told Joy News that the foundation is not only ready to sponsor higher education, but also to train disciplined and responsible lecturers.
We are happy to be able to build the capacity of this place by helping lecturers to continue with their education, to get more qualifications, and not only to get academic education, but also become an elite that is responsible and drives forward the common good in this country. And we already have a number of people here who are with us this evening. And through this program that we are now launching today, we are hoping to even more do that work for particularly this university, but also for the church and the country and so on.
A 5-member committee to select the 10 beneficiaries for the scholarship was inaugurated by Professor James Hawking Ephraim and Dr. Marco Cohen. Nesta Kafria Juma's report for Joy News.
And that's it for the AM News. Stay with us. There was a lot of action in the English Premier League, in La Liga, and also in Serie A. Details in sport shortly.